It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Well, I'd love to tell you it's a beautiful day in Nashville, and hello again, everybody. Welcome in to our digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. But it's raining, and I don't remember hearing that it was gonna rain, but who cares? We got some good stuff for you today. Before I bring Kelly Holcomb in, let me say that it appears that we are on track to being a week away from what it is we've wanted to do now for a while. And that is, we're going to take this podcast, move it to 4 to 6 p.m., and we will simulcast that podcast on 95.9 FM in the Nashville area, 107.9 up toward Murfreesboro, a little bit of Williamson County. And the purpose of this, most importantly, is to be able to use a phone system. So beginning next Monday, we're going to take a bunch of phone calls, and I can't wait. I'm very excited about that. Let's go to Murfreesboro. By the way, you'll hear this way too many times this week. Bear with me while we publicize it, and then come Monday, we'll have it all out of our system. Kelly Holcomb's in Murfreesboro. Kelly, how are you?
I'm doing good, George. Are we sure that Billy can handle this going to the radio? Can Billy do it?
Can you handle it, Kelly?
Oh, I can handle it. I'm ready, but I don't have to do all that technical stuff. You do, if you got it.
Well, there's fix my camera there. We got some technical stuff already going wrong. No, I mean, Kelly, I've been doing this for long enough.
No, okay,
Really?
all right.
Kelly,
So we're not going to have any.
How does this affect the afternoon nap?
It doesn't affect the afternoon nap. I wish I would take a nap. That'd be nice. I would like to take a nap every day, but
Yeah.
I'm too much of a like the squirrel off Ice Age, man. I'm like bouncing off walls all the time. So I've got to be doing something, whether it's nothing, doing something. You know what I'm saying? I got to be moving.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Okay, Billy, so he asked you a very specific, it was a cheap shot. You knew that going in.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for next week?
I'm ready. I mean, we gotta do a little testing. So
Gonna do that tomorrow afternoon after the show. Make sure that the old phone system works. And once we've got the A-OK, there's A-OK, we'll be ready to rock and roll.
Oh yeah.
I'm just interested in the first time that it goes wrong, if Billy's going to have any skid marks.
Oh,
if we know what we're talking about.
Wow, I think we do know. Very unprofessional what you're doing. Airing the show's dirty laundry.
Very unprofessional, but you know, it is what it is. I say what everybody wants to say.
That's what people are going to like about the show is they're going to discover, they'll take some shots at each other. Sure will. Oh yeah.
Billy, how was your flight? Was your flight up okay and your flight back?
It was actually good. Yeah, I barely made it. I think we got the latest plane to go off until the next morning. Actually, I think one of the attendants told us. So we barely made it. So it was the answered prayers.
What was what was the day of was it Wednesday?
Wednesday night. Yeah, that was the kind of the night. And apparently, there was an early window of the storms that we just missed, and then a later window. But obviously, I wasn't here, so I don't know. We talked about it Thursday, what areas got hit. So.
Well, a friend of mine flew in Wednesday night from San Diego, and he told me, he says, you would not have survived that flight.
I would have been white knuckling, man. I hate that garbage.
As for the folks in Columbia, Tennessee, we're thinking about you. We know that while we completely escaped here in Nashville and apparently in Murfreesboro, you all did not, and it has left a lot of hardship in the Murray County area, and our thoughts and prayers are with you.
Absolutely.
It's the one time we'll be serious.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I feel like there's been a bad run of weather like Kelly's talked about, and maybe let's get some sunshine in here. It's supposed to be raining a lot of this week, though.
The other thing that goes on is poor Clarksville gets nailed in every one of these deals.
All
Never
the
seen
time.
anything like it.
Me neither. It's like I told my wife, going up towards Murray and all that, I'm like, they get hammered. Like Henry County, which one of my buddy lives, I played with in college, like they get hammered up towards Henry County, Waverly, right? Waverly a couple of years ago, they had that huge flood up there that flooded everything. I mean, it's just amazing how much storms that they get in that little area.
So, Billy, I'm guessing you did nothing that involves sports this weekend.
I mean, not much. Played some golf.
Other than drinking.
Played some golf on Friday, and I hadn't played in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But it actually felt decent.
right.
I mean, I wasn't playing with, PGA Tour golfers, but I feel like I held my own. So I think I need to get out there again.
Yeah. Well, when you get to 100, if you feel like you've held your own, then super.
Billy, you're not as bad as George, huh? Please tell me no.
I mean, I don't think I'm actually. That'd be a decent battle. George
You know
versus-
what sucks
gosh.
about hearing this is I played with Kelly once, and I played pretty good, and yet he has dogged me. Nobody ever invites me to play golf with him. People pass messages. Hey, Watson, you and I need to get together for golf. Well, what about the guy in the middle? Screw him. He sucks.
Yeah, no, it's not happening. You're going to hold us up.
No, I'm not.
You got to be able to hit the ball a little bit, George. You
Right.
can't.
Advance the ball toward the green.
Another thing that I'm shocked about is Billy went to a wedding. I didn't realize Billy had friends that invited him to weddings. So I mean, wow.
That's a cheap shot, Kelly.
It is a cheap shot, but
Yeah.
I'm that guy today. I want to be cheap.
I'm
I
with
wanna
you
be
though
petty.
on the weddings. Like, it's fun, but all the ancillary stuff, the pictures, like after the wedding, we had to wait probably 2 hours just to see the party get back because they took about an hour for pictures.
Do it now, not during an SEC football weekend.
No.
Do you have any level of update that has any meat on the bone?
Yeah, we
at
got a
all?
little bit of meat on the bone.
Okay, you remembered we have a sponsor.
Yes,
That's
we
good.
do. It's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can visit her at mortgageladyusa.com. NBA and NHL playoffs rolling on. I know we're going to spend a segment on kind of catching everybody up with that, but we do have some NBA games tonight. Celtics and Cavs at 6 o'clock. That's game 4. And the Cavs got them a win at home, so they'll try
No, they did not. No, they got to win in Boston.
Well, they got to win
In
in
Boston.
Boston.
They got
to
the
win.
crap kicked out of them in Cleveland.
They got to win
Yeah,
at
they
least in
did.
the series, which I don't think many people expected. So the Cavs will try to tie that series up tonight. And then at 8:30, the Thunder and the Mavericks. The Dallas leads that series 2-1. Can the Thunder tie it up? So we got a couple of series that could get closer.
Need to know the health of young Luka Duka
Yes.
because I feel this kid's a warrior. Good Lord, he is hobbling around on one leg and yet keeps getting up. And, there's some real grit about him.
Yeah.
I love watching him. Luka Duka.
And in the NHL, Panthers and Bruins. Panthers and Bruins series continues. Bruins, that is, they lost to the Panthers last night 3-2, which that series, might get good all of a sudden. The Panthers are still down 3-1, but I don't think they're just going to lay down and die.
No,
for the
they're up
Bruins.
3-1. What are you babbling?
Oh, the Panthers are, good Lord.
They're up 3-1.
Panthers
Kelly,
are up 3-1.
hold on. I know you'd like to respond to this.
You know
This is
what? I actually knew that, Billy, and I'm not a big, huge keeper-upper of the NHL, but I knew that they were up
No,
3-1. I'm like,
wrong. That's my bad.
what are we doing, Billy? Do you need it? Did you get up at 12:01 today instead of 11:59?
No,
What's up?
No, I didn't.
Good gravy, dude. Let's go.
Not the best start. I read that wrong. So the Panthers do lead that series 3-1. Meanwhile, the Canucks lead the Oilers 2-1.
Yes, you're correct.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
The Canucks lead the Oilers 2-1.
Yeah, that is not a misprint.
No.
No.
Vancouver went to Edmonton last night and dominated.
Yeah, that was. I mean, you were the one saying that.
I thought Edmonton would beat the hell out of them in Edmonton.
But what happened last night? Because I mean, it looked like the Oilers had it. I mean, I thought I was keeping up, and then you saw at the end, McDavid just got smashed.
Oh, I don't. To be honest, I fell asleep after a very rigorous Sunday. I fell asleep
rigorous
on it.
About it, George. Tell us what was rigorous about it. You getting up and going to make you some coffee and laying in the sofa?
No, I went to church. I prayed for all of your sins. That took about 4 hours.
You remind me of Al Bundy getting on your recliner and sticking your hand. I mean, you're an Al Bundy guy.
Move on.
We got the Canes and Rangers tonight at 6. Rangers lead that series 3-1.
Why are you basically copying a segment that we're doing later?
Okay, well, let's get to something else.
Good.
Tennessee,
meat on the bone.
Tennessee takes 2 out of 3 from Vandy over the weekend.
That's another segment we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get to the Buccaneers and Antoine Winfield have agreed to a 4-year, $81 million contract.
Update material. That has happened today.
I played with his daddy. He's a good football player. His daddy was really good, too. His daddy wasn't very big, but would knock the trash out of you. He was a corner. His dad was a corner.
Guess who I had breakfast with this morning?
Tell us, George. The crew? Oh, you did? Oh, Coach Donnelly.
So listening to Terry Crisp try to teach Boots some hockey is hilarious.
Really? How many guys were there?
Hilarious. There were about 10 today. It was
really. Where do you guys go eat? Where do y'all go eat?
I can't reveal that. Goodness.
Oh, you can't?
No. You know, the paparazzi will start showing up.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Bricktops. Wow. Okay.
No, it was not Bricktops.
Way to go.
Bricktops didn't open in the morning.
Oh, okay.
I
don't know. I don't frequent Bricktops. I'm not that type of dude. I'm from Fayetteville, man.
Yeah, part of the reason Billy's enjoying this is this masks the fact that I don't think he really has any update material.
I mean, we've got an NIL deal. Great Osobor is transferring to Washington. Mountain West Conference Player of the Year. His NIL deal is worth $2 million, and it is the largest so far out of anybody in the portal. I don't know how we know that. I mean, whoever you want can release it. I don't get how you're able to say he's making the most, but he committed to Washington over Louisville and Texas Tech, so $2 million for
good work if you can get it.
Great Osobor.
What team did he play for, Billy?
He played at Utah State, but his coach Danny Sprinkle went over to Washington. So
Osobor was an inside threat that once he got it down on the block, you could forget it. I saw him 2 or 3 times last year. He's a really good player.
Yeah, he is, and I think we all knew he was probably going to go to Washington, but that is where he lands, and $2 million for a great Osobor. Also, Caitlin Clark's regular season debut will be a must-see event in the WNBA, but getting into the arena for tomorrow night's game is going to be tough. The Connecticut Sun announced that their home opener against Caitlin Clark in the Indiana Fever is a sellout with 8,910 tickets sold. So,
wow,
some money coming to the WNBA because of one player. And I think you know exactly who that is.
Good for her.
And I wonder how much, like, how big is this gonna get with Clark? And does this get to levels like she was at Iowa, where the Indiana Fever, I mean, that do become must-watch TV? I just wonder now that she's in the WNBA, does the Caitlin Clark Fever continue as it was?
So, Billy, let me ask you this question: are you going to watch?
Probably not. I mean, I'll watch probably some clips that are posted. But
George, let me present that question to George. George, are you going to watch?
When is this, Billy?
Tomorrow night.
going up against the NBA playoffs and the NHL?
So what's your answer?
Yeah, so
I
much.
think you got my answer.
Let's see.
That's a
here.
no.
Will I flip it over there? Yeah, I probably will at some point just to see what the crowd looks like.
I saw where Aja is it Aja Wilson or Aja Wilson from the former South Carolina gal? She got her a new shoe deal. Was it from Nike?
I think you're right. Yeah, she's
She got
been
her
in the
own
league.
shoe. Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently it was also released that Caitlin Clark has had a Gatorade deal, but was just now released. Like most of the time she was in college, so she had a deal with Gatorade. So Caitlin Clark was making some money.
Good scratch.
Good for her.
That's what I've got.
That's it. We're not going to tell people that the NFL has announced the opening game of the season.
I was
next
just going to get to that.
Oh,
Didn't
it
know
didn't
if you
sound
wanted to
like
get to that.
You said that's all I got.
Well, it's 2:18. We're coming on the break. I mean,
Well,
when we're on
yeah,
radio,
but,
we're not going to be able to extend segments.
That should have been the first highlight.
Really,
Okay.
George is trying to sabotage you in today's update. I wouldn't take it. I would strike.
So let's tell people what's going on. NFL announces Baltimore and Kansas City as the season opener, the Thursday night game from Arrowhead.
That'll be special.
I don't think you were ever going to get to it.
What
do you think, Kelly?
I checked the time and it said 2:18. So
yeah.
I think you've got him worried, George, and I think he was rummaging through stuff and he came over that. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think.
Well, I mean, not exactly. After that, what would you have gotten to?
The update felt like 12:01 is when he got up. Okay, after the break, we will be joined by the legendary former Alabama play-by-play voice, Eli Gold. Yes, Kelly, I was his guest color analyst yesterday.
That is like, I don't even understand what's Poggi doing? Like, what is he trying to get people not to listen? I mean, what kind of, is there any fundamentally thing that you did to explain what was happening during the game?
We will let you have the first question with Eli.
Okay,
we'll do that right after this.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
As some of you may already know, we're making some changes in our programming. Simply put, beginning Monday, May the 21st, and yes, that date did have to change, we will go into a 4 to 6 p.m. time slot to do this podcast, but we will also simulcast it on radio on 95.9 FM. And for those of you who watch in the Rutherford, Williamson County area, on 107.9 as well. The purpose of this is very simple. I want to be able to take phone calls. While I've enjoyed the podcast format I have greatly missed the fact that I'm not able to talk to you all. And I don't feel like I have quite the pulse that I used to for that reason. If you go back through my 30 years as a broadcaster, I always enjoyed taking phone calls. I'm looking forward to getting back to that. So mark the date, Monday, May the 21st, 4 to 6 p.m., and thanks for all the support. Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
Nashville, get ready for the greatest show on turf. Electrifying, high-octane, non-stop spring football action. Starting at only $30. Don't miss the season opener this April 27th at Municipal Auditorium.
Hi, I'm Jeff Fisher. The Nashville Cats are bringing arena football back to Nashville.
Grab your tickets now at thenashvillecats.com and be part of the action.
Well, let me say right up front, it was an absolute blast to do a game with Eli Gold. We've known each other for, 30, 35 years, but we've never worked in the same broadcast booth together. And so it was different and it was really fun. Not only is he a Hall of Fame broadcaster, which all of you who've ever heard him know, man, he's got a Hall of Fame spotter in Butch Owens, who I got to meet yesterday. Eli, how you doing?
I am well. Thank you, George. It was a lot of fun yesterday, wasn't it?
It was a blast, but I have to put some rain behind all this because Kelly Holcomb gets the first question that he is dying to ask you.
Eli,
Okay.
I just want to know. I just want to know: is there anything that George brought to your broadcast talking about the game of football? Was there anything that he alluded about on the playing field that really explained to the people that are listening anything about the game? Because I've seen George, I've heard George. First of all, I'm sorry that you had. I know you're friends with him, but I'm sorry you had to broadcast with him. But I just want to know if there was anything positive that he brought to the broadcast about the actual game.
Well, there were a couple of little tidbits. Yes, he was able to. He zeroed in on a few things, but we just had a great time. You know, George is he's big in Nashville, obviously, and it makes it so much easier for me to be hopefully accepted by the listeners. But yeah, George was just fine. But you know, is he John Madden? No. You know, was he Tom Brookshire? No. There are a lot of guys who he wasn't, but he was the original George Plaster.
Oh, I love that answer.
Oh,
So you take that, Kelly.
oh,
So, Eli, in all seriousness,
Yes.
tell the listeners about Butch, who you have worked with for 36 years, because a lot of people have no idea that there is such a thing as a spotter in football.
Yeah. Well, a spotter is in plain English is your extra set of eyes in the broadcast booth. There's so much that happens during a play that you really can't get it all yourself. If you've ever heard Al Michaels do a game, and we all have, whether it was baseball, football, what have you, hockey, he would always thank his spotter, Malibu Kelly Hayes, who was his other set of eyes in the booth. Well, Butch has been that for me ever since I started at Alabama. And every Bama game, except one, he missed one game because of COVID. Every Bama game, every NFL game I've done, every arena game I've done, high school games, I've done a couple of those is all, but he was always there by my side. And not only is he there to double check me to make sure I catch any substitutions and what have you, he is the guy responsible on the tackles. Who made the tackle? The play-by-play guy, I follow the football. I follow the play. Butch is there looking at the other side of the ball and making sure I know who made the tackle, and he'll point to the name on my big chart. If I don't talk about a block that was made, and it's bigger in the outdoor stadium played game than it is in the arena football league, but still, if I miss a block, he'll point to the guy and he'll move his arm in an up and down fashion, which is our signal for a block. And I'll just, not even think twice about it. I'll just say, and that was a great block by Joe Blow, because, Butch saw it in case I missed it. He'll double check me on my math, because as those who've ever heard my broadcasts, they know that, fourth grade math were the 6 longest years of my life. And Butch, if there's a long play, we have a little chart. The chart is 1 through 100 because we use it obviously for the stadium game, but it's also usable for arena. We only have 50 yards. And if there's a 28-yard play, he'll point to that number 28 on the chart, and I immediately say on a 28-yard gain or whatever it is. So he is, and any spotter who is worth his weight is very, very good and very vital to the broadcast. But you know something, George, something you don't know, I don't think, is that Keith Jackson tried to hire him away from me a number of years ago when Keith was still working for ABC. His spotter, I forget if he passed away or if he had to retire, whatever the circumstance was, but he checked around and asked if he could talk to Butch about hiring him away. So he is that good. He really is.
Oh, I saw it yesterday. I mean, I got a real education on how good he is. I've heard you talk about him for years, but until yesterday, I really hadn't gotten to talk to him a lot. So you and I had a conversation.
A nice guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hilarious, actually.
Yes, he really is. He just retired from his real job. He worked for Golden Flake, the snack food company, and was in charge of all of their motorized vehicles, all their trucks, the local trucks, the long-haul trucks, the whole bit. And he did some other little things for them, but he was with Golden Flake forever, and then retired, I guess, about a month ago, maybe even a couple of weeks short of that. Might have been just 3 weeks ago that he finally retired.
Eli, of all and you and I kind of got into this yesterday. We both got to the auditorium really early, and we're talking shop and, all the people you had worked with over the years. For you, who is the favorite color analyst type that you've ever worked with?
Well, favorite is a tough word because I liked them all. I got along with them all. So when I say favorite, it's not a personal ranking in that regard, but my favorite one as far as contributions to the broadcast there were two. One was Kenny Stabler, the great quarterback, and one was Phil Savage, the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, who was a former in his youth, not that he's an old guy by any stretch, but in his younger days was an assistant coach at Alabama and went on to become the GM of the Browns. And when the Browns got rid of him and Romeo Crennel in one fell swoop a number of years ago, he became my color man on the Bama broadcast. So Snake and Phil were spectacular. Different ways to look at the game. Snake looked at things from a player's standpoint, a quarterback standpoint, and Phil looked at them from a personnel standpoint, and how this guy can make this play, and that's why he'll be drafted in the in the NFL, and so on and so forth. But both men knew football inside out and backwards. I would listen to both of those guys talk to our coaches and discuss football, and it was like a foreign sport. They might have well been talking Australian rules football for all I knew, because they look at the game at such a high level, and I'm down here. Even though I know the game pretty well, I was left in the smoke. I was left in the dust when I would sit in and listen to a conversation between those guys. So, yeah, Snake and Phil were my two favorites, if you will.
The thing that struck me is you kind of went through a list of people you've worked with, and then I got to thinking about people that I had worked with, and I threw a name at you that kind of surprised you that I've really enjoyed, Clem Haskins. It's really important, Eli, that you and that person like dealing with each other, and it sounds like you always had that.
We always, you know what it was, George, in all seriousness, I am not the star of the show. I am the guy that people hear more. I might be the upfront face of a broadcast or voice of a broadcast. But, when I'm sitting with a Super Bowl winning quarterback by my side, he's the star of the show. And I make sure, like I told you yesterday, because in Nashville, you're the star of the show. And I said to you yesterday, just like I've said to these other guys, other than the first few plays where I usually have some business to attend to, sponsor mentions, et cetera, I said, you will talk after every single play if you want to. You'll have every bit of airtime. And, like it comes down to, is what right do I have to analyze a play in a football game when I'm sitting next to a guy who's won a Super Bowl? The next snap I take is going to be my first. I'm being very serious.
I know you are.
It's funny, but I'm being dead serious. What right do I have to analyze something when I'm sitting next to a guy who's won SEC championships, when I'm sitting next to a guy who's won Super Bowls, when I'm sitting next to a man who, a few weeks ago was a general manager in the National Football League? I don't have the right to go there. That's your turf. And that's how I've always gotten along so well. I know, and that's one of my favorite sayings, I know what I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
I know what I don't know. And I'm not going to get myself into trouble by going where I don't need to. That's why I've got the superstars sitting next to me. And when it wasn't Snake and it wasn't Phil Savage, it was John Parker Wilson, who played quarterback at Alabama. It was Tyler Watts, who played quarterback at Alabama. People of that nature, they know the game at a level that I will never know it. They spot stuff that I would never see, and that's what made them so valuable.
Kelly, you've done games. It was fun watching from a different perspective, because most of the time when I'm in one of those booths, I'm a play-by-play guy, and to watch he and Butch yesterday operate was really cool for me because Butch said it to me off air. He goes, I know what Eli needs or is about to say before Eli knows what he's about to say.
Yeah, when I used to do games with Chip, and we've done a bunch of games together, we always had a spotter. Wayne Bruce was our spotter. You have to have a good spotter that can be right on point, and just like Eli talked about, you have to have those guys because they are an integral part, and nobody really knows who they are, but they're an integral part of the broadcast.
They sure are.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So Eli, is football like you've done so many things in broadcasting? Is football your favorite?
My favorite is probably hockey.
Okay.
I started doing hockey in New York when I was growing up. I was a huge fan of the New York Rangers back in the day. Hockey is what got me into the business. I started working my way up through the minor leagues of hockey, just like any player would, and eventually made it to the National Hockey League with both the St. Louis Blues and later with the Nashville Predators. I just love hockey. And if I can say so, I do a pretty good broadcast, a pretty good hockey broadcast. So that is probably my favorite. And of course, it's climate controlled when you're indoors, unless you're playing in one of those stadium series games. But it's climate controlled. You're indoors at Bridgestone or wherever it might be. You don't have to, and sometimes you would do an early season Alabama football game, and I'd be sweating from places I didn't even know I had. And,
Thank you for sharing that.
Anytime, glad to be of service.
Yeah.
But I love hockey. But with all of that said, there's nothing that I've done that I didn't enjoy. I love NASCAR. At the end, though, NASCAR had changed, and I became, it was time. I really had trouble getting excited about my, 120th trip to Dover, Delaware. It was difficult to stay motivated like that. But nothing I've done I don't enjoy. And obviously Alabama, as huge as it is here in the state of Alabama, where I'm speaking from now, it's so huge and it means so much to so many people that I loved it to death. I really, really did. But if I could only do one more sport for the rest of my life, it would probably be the NHL.
Oh, that's good. Well, my last thing here is, being an arena league, you come from 11-man football and you're going to the arena league. I'm sure that's not a big difference to you, maybe to a play-by-play or a color guy, but is there a big difference for you calling an arena game to a regular 11-man game?
Not really. Not really. It's a good observation. I have done arena football before, obviously. I did it on TNN when they had the rights. I've done it on NBC when they had the rights. So I'm used to the product. When I first started, I'll tell you this, when I first started the Arena League, after my very first telecast, I said to somebody, man, I got to strap on an oxygen tank here. I mean, I was winded after that first game because the pace was frenetic. But no, it's really very much the same. The biggest problem I'm having now, and it's not because I'm getting any older or anything, but it's difficult to see some of the numbers when they are dark numbers on dark jerseys with the lightest little bit of a pinpoint outline. A lot of teams design jerseys because they look really good up close. Man, that's a cool looking jersey. And that's true in many cases. But, the fans aren't all sitting up close. When you got somebody sitting up high in a building and you're trying to build stars, you're trying to build up the team and let the fans get to know these people. Well, if they can't read the number clearly, you're defeating your own purpose. Well, that's the problem I'm having even with the Cats. You know, I know these guys, but sometimes they're in positions that you just can't identify them as well as you'd like, and you can't read the numbers. That's been a problem in the stadium played game, in the arena game. You know, in the stadium played game, the numbers are closed in, they're painted in, colored in, whatever you want, and they're easy to read. But otherwise, other than that, no, it's gone pretty well, and you know, I enjoy it. The guys are great, the coaching staff is wonderful, and I've had a great time. I really have.
Eli, let me ask you 2 last questions, then we'll let you get out of here.
Sure, no problem, George.
For a Titans fan, tell us about J.C. Latham.
He's a nice guy, number one. He is a very, very nice guy. And he can play both on the right side and the left side. And that's something that they're going to have to, you know, they will see when he takes the field this season. He's just a solid, he's a big guy, obviously. He's a big fella, but he is a great athlete. And he is just, when you meet him, you will be meeting a guy who you think has been a friend of yours for the last 20 years. So he's just a wonderful, solid player, tough to knock off his feet, and you know, he does his job really, really well.
Eli, you've had a front row seat for what I believe is the greatest run we've ever seen in college football, and I don't believe we will ever again see anything that really approaches it. Well, now Nick Saban has retired and Kalen DeBoer has taken over. You know the pressure level of this unlike any other human being because you've lived it. What would you tell DeBoer about how to deal with it?
The first thing I would say is don't try to be the next Nick Saban. Just continue being the first Kalen DeBoer. Just because this is how it was always done in the past doesn't mean that you can't make changes and do things your way. You've got to be your own man as the head coach. But with all of that said, yeah, he's going to be, you know, it's with no disrespect to the University of Washington and what have you. But look, excuse me, they had, you know, like 1,200 people at their spring game, and Alabama had, you know, 78,000. The pressure and the attention will be something that he has not experienced before, but he will adjust very, very quickly. I think he's also going to have to make big inroads on recruiting in the Deep South. He's done well. He's done very well. But, you know, it takes time to build that up. And he's going to have to build up his relationships with the high school coaches around the Deep South, because that's nothing that he's ever really dealt with. You look at the rosters they've had in the past at Washington, and they were not Deep South heavy. So, but he'll be fine. The guy is really good. Like any coach, there's at this level, you don't need to teach him X's and O's. He knows it. He knows how to do it. He'll be just fine, but he needs to be himself. He doesn't need to try and be the second Nick Saban.
Number one, thank you for the time that you've taken today. Secondly, and all kidding aside, because you and I love being kind of smart Alex at each other, it was an honor to be in a booth with you yesterday. It was really fun to watch you operate.
And likewise, you really did a great job. We were laughing earlier, but you contributed. You made some really keen observations. And, you know, there's a reason you and I have both hung around for so many years. In and around all of our joking, we both have been blessed to be able to do a good job. And you did that yesterday. So I look forward to working with you again sometime and continued success. I know you're moving over to regular radio, and you got all sorts of good plans coming forward, and I wish you the best. I look forward to being able to watch and listen to you from here in Birmingham.
Thank you, my friend. You are a dear friend.
All right, George, take care of yourself.
Thanks, Eli. This is a guy that over the years, when I would run into, I don't know, career points where I needed advice, he was the first guy on my Rolodex that I would pick up the phone and say, what do you think? And I appreciate him making up keen insights. Please.
That's what I was about to say. I mean, I got to call BS on the keen insights. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Even
that was
I'm
a great.
calling it.
That was awesome that he said that about you. And the
But
legend. The legend
bunch of
beside me.
bull.
But there was no legend beside him the other day. I mean, Kenny the
actually,
Snake was not there.
There was. It was Butch Owens.
Well, maybe Butch, not George.
No.
And keen insight, that's BS.
Not really. We'll go to the break, and then we'll talk a few more cheap shots when we come back.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. So, Kelly, here is some useless info that may be of some benefit to Billy down the road. When I was Billy's age, and I was fortunate enough through the late, great C.M. Newton to be a color analyst doing Vanderbilt basketball on radio, and it was kind of a joke. I'm not a color analyst. I'm a play-by-play guy. I would ask at the SEC tournament a couple of announcers who I really respected and enjoyed. Can I sit and watch y'all's broadcast and how you skin the cat? I asked David Steele, who at the time was the play-by-play voice of the Florida Gators, is now the television voice of the Orlando Magic and works with a buddy of mine, former Vanderbilt center Jeff Turner, and the Kentucky broadcast with the legendary Kaywood Ledford and Ralph Hacker, guys that I loved listening to growing up. And it was a real education. I mean, I would tell any young announcer that is getting into this that if you ever get that opportunity, ask to sit in on another school's broadcast. You'll learn some stuff.
George, who do you like talking about that? Who do you think, like you just brought up Kaywood with Ledford. You talk about Vin Scully back in the day. You talk about John Ward. Like who in today's new age of ball, who do you think kids look up to as an announcer now? Because those were some legendary names, and I can remember, Skip Carey, obviously, or Harry Carey up in, Chicago. Like those are like legendary type guys. Like, are there any of those guys left?
Billy, chime in on this because, I made the analogy that if you did an SEC Mount Rushmore of play-by-play announcers, 3 are Codlock cinches. Kaywood Ledford at Kentucky, John Ward at Tennessee, Larry Munson at Georgia. The old guard, all 3 have now passed away, and that you could make a real argument that Eli would be the 4th.
Yeah.
So what he just asked, who do you think a younger audience really gravitates to?
I would say Mike Tirico is definitely up there. This guy's older, but I still think Al Michaels, and he's not doing maybe as many games as he used to do. But, for me, Al Michaels has always been up there. Baseball, Joe Buck, I would say. But I don't know. It's a good question. It doesn't seem to be the volume of announcers as maybe there used to be of great announcers where you kind of turn a game on, but there's more quantity. So I don't know, you kind of go quantity.
Well, here's also the difference, Billy. The radio thing has been diminished because you can watch them all on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not many people going to radio to view their team anymore. Usually you flip the TV on and it's easy. Now you're in your car. Yeah. But
one of the coolest things I saw last night, and Billy, I don't know if you can out of nowhere pluck this out of thin air. Right before halftime of last night's Denver-Minnesota game, Kevin Harlan is the play-by-play guy.
Oh, yeah.
And Kevin Harlan was once the University of Missouri's play-by-play announcer when I was at Memphis State, and we were 2 of the 3 youngest Division I play-by-play announcers, both of us in our 20s. Fair to say, Kevin went on to bigger and better things.
Better things.
Kelly, on the other hand, I got stuck with you. I want you to watch here in a minute.
Nice.
Billy's pulling this thing up. This really, I saw it live. And
when Jamal Murray hit that shot, yeah.
Yeah, so Billy, you tell me when we're actually, and Billy does an incredible job. This is right before halftime if we're able to show it. This is way later. There is a halftime play where somebody for Denver hit like a 47-footer and hit it right in front of Harlan.
It was Jamal Murray.
And Harlan, okay, here it comes. Now, watch what happens here. Harlan, look at him. I love it. That is so good. Look, the player goes right to the table, and Harlan goes, "You're darn right, I saw it."
That's awesome.
Kevin Harlan also was once the play-by-play voice at the beginning of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And so that came up last night during the telecast that he had been honored before the game, which was very cool. For me, man, he's a guy I love listening to doing NBA right between the eyes.
Yeah. Well, and then
It's
also,
good.
I'm forgetting his name, Vern Lundquist.
Oh,
I mean,
Yeah.
for all ages.
you know who Vern's really close with?
Who?
Eli.
Wow.
Eli got Vern on for me one time.
Well, just think about that though. Vern Lundquist, like he did all the SEC games, man. His voice was synonymous with the the SEC game of the week on Saturdays, man. He and Gary Danielson, which was awesome. And then he leaves, but you still get to hear him at the Masters because he's on the 16th hole at the Masters, which I love. But like, what happens to? And I know it's cyclical. Everything. There's going to be people pass away. I mean, that's just part of life. But like, what happens to Jim Nance? Jim Nance has been doing this for so long, but like, he's not doing the NCAA tournament anymore in basketball. They're taking him off a lot of the PGA Tour stops. Now he's still going to do the majors. He's still going to do the Masters. But like, what happens when these guys? I know but like the names that you just talked about, George, I don't know if they're as iconic as they used to be.
First of all, I wonder 2 years from now if I knew Jim Nance, who, by the way, lives here. I've never met him.
He does. Yeah.
Is he missing this stuff? Was this a hard NCAA tournament for him because it's the first time, gosh, in over 34, 35 years that he hasn't been behind that microphone? A lot of people forget the weird deal where he got that job. CBS fired Brent Musburger and announced it the day before his final game, UNLV Duke, I think it was, when UNLV just beat the hell out of Duke.
Right.
It was a weird evening. And to this day, I don't think a lot of people know why Brent got the axe. Anyway, it's a different era. There's so much on TV now that the legendary radio guy in SEC football may not be. Here's another guy that I consider a friend who I think is terrific. SEC radio, Tom Leach at Kentucky. Man, I think he is super.
Yeah, he's good.
But I'll always, with K Wood, all right, Ralph, he fires. It's there. I loved K Wood. First time I met him, we were at the SEC broadcasters meeting the first year, and I'm sitting next to him, and he turns to me and goes, all right, what's your story? And I looked at him, I said, I've been listening to you since I was 8 years old. And he goes, oh, you've ruined my day. But I came to really love K Wood, who every time we would go up there to play, we would always have a minute or two where he'd say, tell me what's going on in your career. And that was so cool because I grew up listening to him and loved him.
That's awesome.
Okay, Broadcast 101 is over. Let's see. After the break, John Wilkerson will join us again, not to compare AARP cards, but to talk about the Tennessee Vanderbilt series that just took place, and who knows, we may ask him a John Ward question as well. Stay tuned. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Top of the hour on a Monday. It's time for Stat of the Day, brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards. You can find them out in Shelbyville. They're open during the week Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, here we go. We're in the age of NIL, where players are getting paid millions to return to school. Who is the highest paid known player in college basketball next season?
Quiet,
anybody
please.
home?
Silence.
I mean, is this me? I mean,
Could be man or woman.
man or woman? That's kind of what I was getting at. Is it football, basketball? I mean,
Highest paid known player in college basketball next season.
oh, basketball. Sorry, you're right. I saw the football guys there. My bad. I didn't read the question good. Sorry.
Is
College
it fair
basketball.
to say we don't know?
It's pretty fair to me. I couldn't even think about who that would be.
So, I don't know. Let's just see what your answer is.
I was going to give this hint, but it's actually Great Osabor. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, from Washington, who just, of course, signed
Should have got
$2
that
million
because he
NIL
talked about
deal.
it earlier. George. I mean, good gracious.
Yeah, but
wow.
I just assumed it wasn't him. By the way, he is great. I've watched him 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
He can play.
He's really good.
Yeah. Okay, so we welcome all of you officially into the 3 o'clock hour. You may have heard earlier, but I'll say it again, and by the end of the week, you'll be sick of this. It appears to be all systems go that we will do some changing next week. This podcast, which has been airing 2 to 4 p.m. most days, Monday through Friday, will now move to 4 to 6 p.m., and we will simulcast the show on 95.9 FM beginning next Monday, it appears. All systems appear to be go. In the Williamson County and up in Rutherford County, Murfreesboro, tune in on 107.9. The reason is very simple. We're getting a phone system for this show, which I have wanted for a good year and a half. We have finally pulled it off, and I am ready to take some of your phone calls. There we go. Welcome into hour number 2 of the show from our beautiful digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. We head to Knoxville, Tennessee. Gosh, we haven't had him on in 96 hours. John Wilkerson joins us. John, before we get into the baseball, I had Eli Gold on during the first hour. I was Eli's guest announcer yesterday for the Cats. Excuse me, Kelly?
I said, wow, John. I mean, can you imagine that? He brought nothing to the table when he's talking about football. He knows nothing about. I don't even know if George knows if it's pumped or stuffed.
Throw a screen pass. When all else fails, throw the screen.
Gosh.
Screen
Yeah.
left, screen right.
Those are not as
screen.
easy as you make it sound, George. They're not as
I'm
easy
sure
as
it
you
is.
make it sound.
So, John, we got into, in the last segment, some announcer kind of stuff. And you worked alongside one of the Mount Rushmores of SEC football in history, in the late legendary John Ward. What is the single thing that most impressed you about him?
It would start with his preparation. He was just ready for anything. And so you would see everything that he had come together, that he had brought together. The closest that I had worked with John was actually, I was a spotter for 2 years in basketball, and that was really something. So you would see him sit down with his clipboard, and he just had everything mapped out. He knew exactly, he had everything in terms of all the ins and outs on the opposing head coach, everything on the roster, top to bottom. And so I sat next to John. He gave me a legal pad, and I was to keep the running score. And when it was a timeout, I would offer what I thought were some noteworthy tidbits for broadcast. Sometimes he'd use them. Other times he would just hand them right back. But it was just the preparation and, of course, the way he painted a picture. He would make sure that, I mean, even things that you wouldn't necessarily see while you were sitting there next to him, he would point out something that's right here. And it would just add to the depth and detail of what was already a very entertaining painting of the picture.
And I'm guessing sponsors loved him, because when he would give you the sponsored by the Insurers of Tennessee,
yes,
he was great at commercials.
Oh, and also the way that he just worked things that weren't commercials in. Bob Jones Automotive, that was the guy who drove him to the games. But brought to you in part by Bob Jones Automotive, and that Bob was the one who, again, was essentially his chauffeur. But
Transportation Automotive.
There you go, 100%. So again, just to watch him do what he did, start to finish, and the routine. That was it. Just to see everything that was in place before he ever said good afternoon or good evening. So it was really a chance to learn at the hand of one of the masters.
Oh, at the Mount Rushmore, he and Kaywood Ledford and Larry Munson are three obvious. I think you could put Eli as a fourth in there. Mm-hmm. Did John Ward ever do a baseball game?
He did. Well, let me say this. He worked with the baseball program some. And that might have been one of his first gigs, was putting programs together for baseball at Lower Hudson Field. But that was one of the things he did very early on. I imagine that he did a baseball game here or there. I don't know of one specifically, but he did work with them very early on before he ascended to calling Tennessee basketball and Tennessee football.
What a legend, and what a good man to go with it. Helped a lot of young broadcasters getting into this. So you and I took a look at each other's AARP card on Friday night. We decided we're still alive. We've still got some value. And here you are less than 96 hours later back on with us. What'd you think of the series?
Well, I thought it served both teams. I know Vanderbilt had to be frustrated for the fact that they held the lead. Each time the starting pitcher left, he left with the lead, and twice Tennessee was able to rally. Volunteers have won 8 straight SEC series. After losing their opening weekend at Alabama, they've won their last 4 on the road, so that was the goal. But for Vanderbilt, what they were able to do yesterday, I thought was big. Because Vanderbilt had not been able to cash in on an opportunity after dropping the first 2 in a weekend. Commodores were facing their 4th sweep of the season. But yesterday, started with J.D. Thompson and then Devin Futrell out of the bullpen was really something. For his first relief appearance, they might have found something that could help them because I know they've been beset by injury. But I do think that while Vanderbilt's still trying to piece together a lineup that clicks 1 to 9, yesterday was impressive. It was a 2-out, 2-run home run in the first, another clutch hit with 2 out in the second, and they had everything they needed. They did a great job keeping Tennessee off balance. In fact, it's one thing if you get 3 hits. It's another thing altogether when it was one guy who got all 3. So Tennessee had 2 real chances, but Vanderbilt able just to take care of it. Solid pitching, outstanding defense, and it really, I know it had to feel good for the Commodores to get that win for the seniors in their last home game.
John, you've watched all this stuff where the NCAA baseball committee gets in a room. If it's really close, do they give a program like Vandy that has been a perennial winner an extra benefit of the doubt?
They tell you they don't, but it's hard not to think that they do. And that's just because now, granted, Vanderbilt no longer in position, I believe, unless it does something really special in Lexington this week, to be a host school. So that might have been something that always serves you well, but I do think that they're solidly in. I mean, you're looking at 34 wins in the Southeastern Conference, 12-15. I think just to make sure that they're in, it probably helps if they get one at Kentucky. And I'll say this, if the starting pitchers, if they work as well in the Commonwealth as they did this past weekend in Nashville, Vanderbilt's going to have a chance to win the series, let alone get a game against number 1 Kentucky, meaning number 1 in the SEC standings. But I do think that yes, I think that it's hard. I don't think they look at it as it's Team A versus Team B. They might want us to believe that, but I don't believe it. What about you?
I'm kind of with you. I'm right exactly where you are on that front. Now let's go to the Tennessee side. Man, I thought I was there Friday night. I thought they got great long relief pitching, and man, it was like that's what the doctor ordered for them.
A.J. Causey has had that role. In fact, he opened the season as the long reliever. Then A.J. Russell got hurt, and Causey slipped into the Friday night starter role. He had a couple of instances back-to-back where it just didn't go his way with games against Georgia and Auburn, and now he is the one that comes in after Chris Stamos. So you have the lefty that opens the game, and then you have Causey who comes in, and he was magnificent. I mean, he got Tennessee across the finish line. Volunteers able to rally with 5 runs in the top of the 8th. So A.J. Causey has been an outstanding addition. He has worked as much out of the pen as he has as a starter, and he leads the staff with 9 wins with his ability just to take over a game. And one of the things that was most impressive to me, he gives up the lead as Vanderbilt scored 3, I think, in the 6th, and yet he gets the last out that inning and then retires the next 8 in a row. So he has a chance to shake off adversity and just kind of push it to the back burner where it belongs. You gotta have a short memory, without a doubt, in this game.
No, especially if you're in that bullpen. Kelly, say hello to John Wilkerson.
John, how you doing?
Doing well. Hope you're well, Kelly.
I'm good. So when Tim Corbin was going through his heyday, and I'm not saying they can't have another one, but he was winning a lot of games against UT. But I think UT had won 9 straight games. Is that correct? Won 9 straight games. Do you think that gets into the head of a team like Vanderbilt? I know they got a win yesterday, but that's the first time out of 10 games they beat those guys. Is that kind of a head issue that they're going to have to overcome a little bit?
Well, I do think it breaks it up year to year, but I think within the framework of a series, it absolutely can be something like here we go again. So Tennessee rallied, got the win on Friday, rallied again, got the win on Saturday, held off a furious rally to where the Commodores had runners second and third, tying runs in scoring position and nobody out. And Tennessee was able to get that one across the finish line. That's where you wonder about a team going into that last game. But again, to Vanderbilt's credit, they were ready from the jump. You had a 2-out, 2-run home run to give the lead, another 2-out RBI that made it 3-0 after 2. And with the start that Thompson was off to, and again, the way that Futrell worked out of the bullpen, Commodores were just simply remarkable yesterday. So I know that it's been an uphill climb for Vanderbilt in the second half of the season, but I just think when you look at how they competed in this weekend set, and you know it's going to be that way when it's Tennessee Vanderbilt or your in-state rival, I just think that they're in a better spot now than I think where they were confidence-wise, because they know that they can compete with anybody, and that's of course what Tim Corbin's teams usually do.
Well, you've got to have some luck. You know that. And it looks like you guys are going to host. So you got to have some luck to get to Omaha to win the whole deal. Obviously, we all know that. But if you're coaching or you're looking at it as a broadcaster and you're seeing what's going on the field, what do you think Tennessee needs to work on and get better at to get them over the hump?
I do think that you have to start wondering about the bottom third of the lineup, because that's where Tennessee hasn't had a whole lot of punch. Now, you had moments, for instance, Cal Stark wound up with a triple as the center fielder for the Commodores gambled on diving for a sinking line drive. That wound up with a 3-base hit and a key run for Tennessee on Saturday. You had two guys that were able to get on in the lower part of the order with a hit batsman and then a walk after that set the table for Christian Moore and his lead-changing 3-run home run also on Saturday. So Tennessee has been able to get guys on, but I think Tony Vitello likes a lineup that's 1-9, where you can simply turn it over and know that the other side has something they have to deal with each batter. So I don't know that Tennessee has that consistent punch. Hitters 7, 8, 9 doesn't mean they don't contribute. It's just that I think that's an area where you point to. And then we'll see whether or not A.J. Russell, who got banged up during the course of the season, whether or not he's going to be a factor on the mound, either out of the bullpen or perhaps getting a chance to start at some point in the postseason.
John, great to have you on again. It looked like a lot of the home runs that got out were not necessarily the mammoth moonshots that we might be used to from both teams, whether it's Tennessee or Vandy in a lot of these parks. And obviously, Hawkins Field can be a sort of a pitcher's park at times. What did you see from your vantage point from the wind? How did that play into effect in those first couple of games? It wasn't as strong in Game 3, but also with some of those home runs. And did you think Christian Moores was going to get out the three-run shot?
Christian himself said he thought it was foul, that it was going foul, and it didn't. So, that was absolutely pivotal. And it was a little bit of a different field. Didn't seem like there was as much action to left field as you're used to when these two teams square off in Nashville. But I did think that it was you knew the place would be packed. You knew that that there would be attitude in the stands from both those in orange and white as well as black and gold. So I thought the atmosphere was exactly what you expected. But I do think that there probably weren't as many fireworks as expected when these teams usually square off.
Real quick here for Tennessee, obviously welcoming South Carolina, a team that's reeling after getting swept by Georgia. I guess for Tony Vitello, as from his vantage point, what do you want to see from Tennessee in this last weekend? Obviously, everybody starts on Thursday night. They got a game tomorrow night, I think, as well. So got to kind of get off the mat. Even though you won the series at Vanderbilt, he said we got to get going and kind of put it behind us after losing Game 3, because we got a game Tuesday, and then you got to play Thursday, Friday, Saturday as well.
Yeah, it is a packed week, and Tennessee, the finals in Knoxville are a little bit weird. They actually started middle of last week, and they run through the middle of this week. Some guys are already done. Some were done before they played their first game against the Commodores. But you have others that are going to finish that up. You got Belmont tomorrow afternoon. It's a little bit earlier start with a 5 o'clock Eastern time first pitch. And then it is South Carolina. And you wonder about the Gamecocks. Last week, they were projected by Baseball America to be the number 12 national seed. So they would be hosting a regional. Then they get trucked by Georgia, and they tumbled from 16 all the way out of Baseball America's top 25, as well as Perfect Games top 25. They dropped down to the number 25 spot when it comes to D1 baseball. So this is a team that knows that it's got to do something. It has to punch back. And so I think Tennessee had better be ready. Volunteers have had the upper hand of late when it comes to South Carolina, which for the longest time just dominated Tennessee baseball. So they know that there's going to be a fight, and they better be ready from the jump on Thursday.
John, thank you so much for taking the time to be on with us twice in 96 hours. You deserve overtime pay. You're not going to get it, but you deserve it.
Anytime, George. Great to see you over the weekend, and I hope
Same
you guys
here.
have a great week.
Hey, you take care. Have a good week.
All right, you as well. Thank you.
See you. John Wilkerson, play-by-play voice of University of Tennessee baseball. Billy, I have a question.
Yes.
What is going on at Georgia? Because nobody wants to play them right now.
No, they don't. They just swept South Carolina in Columbia, and obviously we know what happened against Vanderbilt a couple weeks ago, and even against Tennessee in game one. I think they beat Tennessee 15-2, and Tennessee was able to get back and win the rest of that series. But I mean, Georgia, their bats. You're led by Charlie Condon. They got a lot of older transfers. Wes Johnson, who was LSU's pitching coach last year, is now their head coach, and he's kind of bolstered their pitching staff as well. So they can host all of a sudden, and I think they could be an Omaha team this year. Who knows?
So if the season ended right now, they host a regional.
Yes. Georgia would definitely host a regional if it ended right now, and they might even be locked in.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, and they're kind of a sleeping giant. I think that's why Wes Johnson probably took that job. That you can recruit there, and you're not a Vanderbilt type school where you'll be able to get kids from the portal easily. So yeah, I think Wes Johnson's gonna be doing a great job there for a long time.
Okay, we'll go to the break, and when we come back, we'll check into the NBA playoffs and the NHL, because if I read this right, in round 2, there will be no sweeps. Interesting.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donley Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donley have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to donleytimmons.com.
As some of you may already know, we're making some changes in our programming. Simply put, beginning Monday, May the 21st, and yes, that date did have to change, we will go into a 4 to 6 p.m. time slot to do this podcast, but we will also simulcast it on radio on 95.9 FM. And for those of you who watch in the Rutherford, Williamson County area, on 107.9 as well. The purpose of this is very simple. I want to be able to take phone calls. While I've enjoyed the podcast format, I have greatly missed the fact that I'm not able to talk to you all. And I don't feel like I have quite the pulse that I used to for that reason. If you go back through my 30 years as a broadcaster, I always enjoyed taking phone calls I'm looking forward to getting back to that. So mark the date, Monday, May the 21st, 4 to 6 p.m., and thanks for all the support.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
We're back, and we're going to take a look at what's going on in the NBA and NHL playoffs. And, well, there's the big screen, and you'll notice that nobody is going to win in round 2 in a sweep. Let's start in the NBA. Guys, you heard me say this a few nights ago. I've loved watching the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. But I think they've had one injury too many, and I think Indiana's going to take them.
I do too. I'm with you on that. I was thinking about that when I saw that game yesterday. And Jalen Brunson, I mean, he's hanging in there, but he's still got some problems, I think, with the foot. So they didn't play well, and I think the injuries have caught up to them, George. I think you're right.
And the Pacers are they're not. I don't know if I'd call them a great team. I mean, they're in the playoffs and they might win this series, but you got to have a little bit of luck. And the Knicks not having the luck on their side with injuries, I think, might benefit the Pacers. So I think the Pacers are just good enough to probably end up winning the series, but who knows?
The one next to it in the East, the Celtics are up 2-1, and Game 4 is tonight in Cleveland. And I would contend that the Cavaliers have no shot unless Darius Garland, Brentwood Academy, Nashville, Tennessee, Vandy for, 5 games in his career, unless he busts out and has a 20-point-plus night, Cleveland has no chance. Boston is way better. Now, if he gets 20, because Donovan Mitchell is a given, he's a stud. They got to have about 20 more from Garland. Then it could get interesting.
Yeah, overall, I don't know that Cleveland has enough anyway. They're just not a match, it doesn't seem like. I know they won a game in Boston, but I don't know, Kelly. I think the Celtics are on another level than the Cavs. Now, the Cavs are good. I think they'll continue to get – I think they probably need another post player, and they do need Garland to play up to his potential, but I don't know if they're a match, Kelly.
Yeah, I think Boston's too good for the Cavaliers. I think they're too good for the Knicks or the Pacers. I think they're the best team in the East. I've been saying that. I think
heavy favorite.
Yeah, I think they're going to the finals. Whoever comes out of the West, I think they'll be playing Boston. I really do.
So in Dallas tonight, Game 4, and to me, this is starting to be, tell me what Luka Doncic's health situation really is. Because, first of all, I feel terrible for him. It is obvious he's hurting. And 2 or 3 times a game, he pulls up limping, and you're like, he's not going to play anymore. And then somehow he magically recuperates. But I'm like, how long can that go on?
Yeah, it feels like there's too much pressure on him and Kyrie, and they can't all. You need more than just two guys. You need a team. It does feel like the Thunder have that team, even though they're down 2-1. But it is a long series, and who knows, though? I mean, the Mavericks, like you said, they've been able to kind of fight back and prove you wrong and somehow get Doncic healthy enough. So, I mean, maybe it's just a matter of can he stay healthy enough for this team.
So, Kelly, I'm going to give you a piece of coaching strategy that I think you're going to go, no way, but I want you to hear me out on this. You ready? Okay, if Dallas wins tonight to go up 3-1, if I'm Jason Kidd, the Mavericks coach, when I get in the locker room, I'm going over to Luka and saying, listen, you're not traveling with us to OKC. I'm not playing you in Game 5. I want to try to give you 4 days off to see if that can help some, because Lord knows he needs it.
That's a pretty good strategy, George. That's quite shocking coming from you. You got a good point there. I think you're right. I mean, he and Kyrie are the key to that team. You know, Billy just said it. So if one of those guys goes out, they have no shot. So I mean, if they do win tonight at home, at home court advantage, and go up 3-1, that's a big possibility, because I think that obviously Jason Kidd knows the worth of Luka to that team, and he's the key to that team. And if he can get him just a couple of days rest and he comes back healthier, may help him get over the top.
It's going to be an interesting series. Tonight will be a tough game, because the difference, as all of you know, between being down 3-1 and being 2-2, huge. Speaking of
totally
which,
different.
Denver, they took Minnesota behind the woodshed and said, we are your daddy. That's what
It woke them up. That's for sure. Yeah, it woke Denver up when they lost the first two at home, and I think they've awakened Jamal Murray and the Joker. They just were not in the game last night, although it got close towards the end. But Denver's the champ. You got to beat the champ to be the champ.
Yeah, all they had to do was go on the road, I guess. Just really weird how they started that series to go down 0-2 and just look lifeless. And now they look totally different. Sometimes you need that change of scenery going on the road, and maybe something changes, and it did. And they tied this series up, and now they're going back home, and they've got all the momentum. So all of a sudden, Denver has the advantage after a couple of road games.
It would feel like it's going to take Herculean stuff from Anthony Edwards for Minnesota to go win, because now they're going to have to win a game in Denver.
Yeah, and who's the T-Wolves' other guy? I don't know that they have one. I mean, in a lot of these teams, the Nuggets are the champs. When Jokic is struggling, you've got Murray. When Anthony Edwards is maybe not at his best, I don't know who the T-Wolves go to.
Honestly, the answer at times has been Naz Reid. And but I'm not sure.
Can you ask him every night?
I'm not sure you can.
Yeah.
So down on the bottom of the screen is the hockey stuff. I just never dreamed that Boston would go 0-2 at home against Florida. Florida knocked them out a year ago when they set the NHL regular season record with 65 wins. So you knew Boston had incentive. But you know what? That hadn't been enough. Florida Panthers.
They're their daddy. They own the Bruins.
They might be their granddaddy.
Yeah, but the Bruins come out and smack them in the first game, and now they've lost 3 straight.
Yeah. It's a real surprise to me.
I have a feeling this will get back competitive, at least tied. You know,
You really think it's going to get tied, Billy? No.
Boston has. I know they've got the motivation, and sometimes that doesn't even matter in hockey. It's just, do you get the bounces? And I haven't really been keeping a close eye on this. Has it been Florida dominating, George, or just kind of getting some lucky puck luck?
Well, last night, Boston led 2-0 at the end of one
That's what I was
period.
bringing up earlier.
Yeah.
I thought the Bruins had that.
So when they got into the third period, Boston was up 2-1. There was a controversial goal that Florida, that the Bruins challenged.
Mm-hmm.
The goal was deemed to be good, even though I totally disagree with the call. They don't care what I think. Ties the game at 2-2, and because they challenged and lost the challenge, then Florida goes on the power play, scores. See, in hockey, they've set up a system. You damn well better be right if you're going to challenge, because if you don't, you are going to pay the ultimate penalty.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough when you don't.
So the second series, the Rangers have dominated, and in fact, they were 1 goal away 2 nights ago from closing it out in overtime. They didn't get the goal. Carolina did. Now it's 3-1. They go back to the Garden. I think it's the Rangers.
Yeah.
Terry Crisp today at breakfast said the Rangers win it all.
Wow,
Really?
I can see it. They're
pretty
when
good.
they came here at Bridgestone for that game, I was here. I was like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
The Preds didn't play awful. The Rangers just are unbelievable.
Now, the third series, go figure. Dallas won in Colorado a couple of nights ago to take a 2-1 lead. I've thought all along this one would go 7, and I'm going to stick with that because I think you're going to have road teams that break through. You've already had the road team win 2 of the first 3 games. These are 2 really good teams out of the West.
And they've been fun to watch. Dallas, that atmosphere in Dallas has been great. Colorado brings it. So, but it is weird. I mean, you just said it. The road teams have been winning, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, does that change, or do the road teams keep winning in this?
Only time will tell.
Yeah.
Kelly, have you watched this one at all?
Haven't, but I was gonna ask y'all, out of all these, who? I mean, you just said what Terry Crisp said, but do you think the Rangers will win it all?
You know, that's a really good question. If I was going to pick a team, it's Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I would say probably Florida if I was going to pick another one. Vancouver still kind of scares me. I know they're playing the Oilers, and that's probably going to be a close series, but don't sleep on them. I mean, when they're on, the Canucks are really good.
I am coming more and more to the conclusion that Edmonton lacks some mental toughs.
Yeah.
They got a lot of what Al McGuire used to call French pastry.
Yep.
A lot of guys that can score, guys that can give you highlight plays. Vancouver beat the hell out of them last night. Pure and simple. They dominated in Edmonton.
Yeah, that Rick Tocchet physical play style, I mean, that plays in the playoffs.
So take a look. No sweeps in round 2, which the TV networks love.
Oh, yeah, more action.
Yeah, they want some 6s and 7s.
George, let me ask you and Billy, out of the basketball, who do y'all think will win the NBA Finals?
Either Boston or Denver.
Boston or Denver.
I just don't see Boston and Denver have championship teams. I don't see anybody else that really does right now.
Gotcha.
I mean, Mavericks have the potential, but they don't. I just still feel like they don't have enough.
Boston's doing this right now without Porzingis.
Porzingis, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure they're not better off without him. It seems like.
Yeah. Well, we talked about the record. Without him, it was something like 22-4, and it's even better now. It's probably 23, 24-4.
I just wonder. But before it's over, Kelly, I think we're getting Denver and Boston in the finals.
Agree. Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, so do we want to get to the bad news?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Plaster Bet of the Day brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. All right. Let's check out what happened over the weekend.
Good Lord.
Carolina, L, and OKC. I thought
George.
OKC, I liked the OKC bet. I thought they had that one.
George.
Wait a minute. Was that yeah, that's right. So that goes back to last Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we're a ways out here. So, Kelly, in an attempt to try to reach respectability, 3 games tonight. You ready?
Let's go.
Show them. Okay. Luka Duka at home. I don't know how they're going to pull it off, but Dallas is going to win, go up 3-1, and then if they're smart, they're going to rest Luka, not play him in Game 5, but then bring him back to clinch it in Game 6 in Big D.
I don't know. I don't know about that one, George.
Well, you said you liked it earlier.
I didn't say I liked the. I never said
liked
that.
The strategy.
Yeah, I like the strategy if they win, but I don't know if they're going to win tonight.
Well, I don't know if they're going to win tonight either. The difference is I stick my neck out on the line on a nightly basis. You, on the other hand, just sit back and you take shots at me.
Yeah, and I hope
root
you
for
lose.
me. You're not a good teammate.
I hope you lose.
Great.
Kelly likes to bet if they win.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's behind you, win or tie. Next one, Celtics. Pure and simple. The only way this doesn't work is if Darius Garland goes off. He is the second scorer that Cleveland has got to have.
Yep.
And by the way, don't guard Jason Tatum with Max Strus. Please. Or as Bill Walton would say, please. What are you thinking? God.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's not
That's funny.
That's a mismatch.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one. I can't figure this series out. Colorado's going to win tonight at home. They got to.
Must win.
Must win.
All right.
36.
We'll see.
That's a different line, that number.
Yeah, that's what they put out there. I have no idea why that's the case. Kelly, we're done for today. You're off tomorrow.
I've got to take my son somewhere, yes. So I've got to, not that I wanted to be off, but I have to.
But you did want to be off.
Family comes first. I mean, I'm sorry, George. I mean, I love you and Billy, but family comes first.
It was an excused absence. Not that you really care.
Yes. No, not at all.
No, you can't go.
Not at all.
Okay, Tony Basilio tomorrow at 2:20. Until then, so long, everybody.